I've always wondered, where was Noble 6 before the events of Halo Reach? And what happened to his armor? And did anyone remember his sacrifice? Well, I dug around and found some very interesting answers that might surprise you too, because it did me. Plus, new Noble 6 lore may be right around the corner, guys. A lot of exciting stuff to discuss. Let's dive deep into Halo lore once again. This video is supported by Audible. Snag yourself a free Halo audiobook right down in the description below. As a child, either 6 or 7 years old, Spartan B3112 started his Spartan training, and like many others, he became an orphan due to his parents getting completely pwned by the Covenant, and was recruited into the Spartan program on the promise of being able to commit revenge. Unlike Spartan 2s, whom were replaced with diseased flash clones in the middle of the night without their consent and forced to be Oni's personal weapons, Spartan 3s were eager to become a part of the Super Soldier program and die fighting the Covenant for vengeance. B3112 exceeded training along with only a few others amongst teammates that were categorized as Cat 2, and they were eventually handpicked by Lieutenant Commander Kurt Ambrose to serve in special operations. On July 3rd, 2545, the worst mass casualties of Spartans took place during a UNSC operation to destroy a Covenant refinery. The intent was to stop production and capability of the Covenant fueling station, which was conveniently placed just outside of UNSC space in the war front. Being successful would triple the time of the Covenant needing to resupply and buy humanity a lot of time. Ultimately, the event ended in over 300 Spartan 3's deaths, which you can learn about more in my other video I'm posting, but thankfully Noble 6 or Noble Team didn't come to this, which they were supposed to, as they certainly would have died here. Even though Noble 6 didn't die at that event, this was the beginning of him disappearing, being marked out with black ink, top secrecy, and he was soon sent out as a black operator, no profile, non-existing, and he became an assassin for Oni. And by this time, I estimate Noble 6 was only 15 years old, if not younger. Coincidentally, also, his whole Spartan career only lasted about 15 years before meeting his end in Reach in 2552, around the young age of 22 or 23. But during his career, he had become known as an efficient lone wolf assassin, perhaps a headhunter sent out to do the most dangerous, most wildest, craziest missions that you can imagine for a Spartan to take care of, having entire rebel groups disappear and single-handedly destroy terrorist organizations during the Human Covenant War. Although the details of his missions is pretty much unknown, completely blacked out to even us, the fans, but we do know that he was pretty busy taking down human insurrectionists during this war, and undoubtedly faced many Covenant soldiers along the way. Now, he was used as a personal weapon and bodyguard for Oni, and probably used very carefully to take out leaders or threats to Oni's power. From the little that we do know about this time period in Noble 6's life, he was excellent on ground-based combat and orbital missions, and Dr. Halsey referred to him as hyper-lethal, with the only other Spartan having that high of a rating as Master Chief himself. Yet during this time of intense missions and combat, he had never seen a glassing prior to the fall of Reach, which is actually confirmed in the cutscenes. Originally, Halsey had disdain for the Spartan 3 program, but despite that, still saw Noble 6 as having equal ability and trustworthiness as Master Chief himself. Noble 6 was also a test pilot for a top-secret UNSC project of the Saber program, which eventually birthed the YSS-1000 Saber space fighter that we use in Halo Reach gameplay. Now, he used these skills to destroy an insurgency operation on Mamor on May 10th, 2552, which resulted in Colonel Holland's transfer of him to Noble Team, making him Noble 6 proper. Now, it's said that his past superiors actually started using Noble 6 as their private-owned personal Grim Reaper, which made them reluctant to give the Spartan up to Noble Team. Now, I refer to Spartan Tom as Noble 7, the forgotten Spartan of Noble Team, but really he was the original Noble 6. Tom was actually seen in the official live-action Halo Reach marketing trailer, which did not include Noble 6 as well, but rather the original Noble 6, Tom. Well, Tom helped out Kat and carried the bomb the rest of the way into the carrier, but even though it showed him running away, he didn't escape in time and died. And in a way, he sacrificed himself for Kat, because otherwise Kat would have been the one dying. And maybe he saved all of Noble Team to carry on to fight for another day. Since Noble Team was like a family, losing Tom made the whole team kind of reluctant to have a replacement so soon, with only about 2 months after his death, which left Kat feeling the most uncomfortable with the replacement, which is why she's kind of a bitch in the beginning of the game, but really kind of opens up to us later on. But as we know, Spartan B3112 became Noble 6 anyway. But Kat and the others, especially even Carter who mentions it, does have a good reason on why they didn't want Spartan B3112 on their team. It was because that he was literally a lone wolf assassin and extremely lethal as a Spartan 3, and perhaps, and very likely, the second most powerful, most successful, dangerous Spartan of them all, aside with Chief being at number 1. Even Carter says, you gotta leave that stuff behind, you're not a lone wolf anymore, you are a part of the Noble team. But as Reach began to fail, Noble 6 was transferred over to Reach, and that's where the Reach story begins. And as you probably know, Noble 6 encountered the Coveys and had a front row seat to all the glass scenes that he could ever see, and took a place in some massive battles defending Reach, saving civilians, and even taking part in the Saber program one last time, which apparently Kat knew about his prior record in the program. Did everyone read Noble 6's file? Is there no such thing as privacy? And 25, a half fragment of Cortana chose Noble 6 to be transferred to the Pillar of Autumn, and with the help of the surviving members of Noble Team, he made it there along with Cortana and decided to join his comrades in Valhalla, eventually being killed off by a swarm of zealots. And I want to say killed one more time because Noble 6 was most certainly killed here. People theorize that Noble 6 survived the ending and hid away in a cave and could have been rescued, which for many other people I would say is possible, but people say that we never saw Noble 6's death, so how do we know he exactly died? Well, in Halo the Essential Visual Guide, it is clarified there in bold black text officially, date of death was August 30th, 2552. Even if there's some kind of error here or lore change later on now in the future, I think Noble 6 surviving would ruin the theme of sacrifice for the greater good. I mean, it would kind of muddy the entire theme of the entire game. This guy surviving, you know, it would kind of ruin the whole tragic survival thematic value of the game itself. Him fighting to the death, losing his helmet, along with Dr. Halsey straight up narrating and confirming that he died. There's little room for survival theories, and that's the reason why I haven't really talked about it. However, that doesn't mean necessarily his story completely ended. June, the one surviving member of Noble Team, did bring up Noble 6 when trying to recruit Edward Buck to the Spartan 4 program, and they kind of remembered about how awesome he was and simply said that Noble 6 was a good man. And it was also some time later that Dr. Halsey left a eulogy for him, which we hear during the epilogue. His existence is kept classified by Oni for many years later, and even though during New Alexandria that was completely rebuilt and odd-something 60 years later, a statue of Noble Team was erected honoring the team and their sacrifice in the Museum of Humanity. However, sadly, Noble 6 was not included here, and it's a darn shame because despite Noble 6's lone wolf nature and his pretty scandalous past of probably doing some fucked up shit ordered by his commanders and chiefs, well, his heroism and compassion for other humans, despite all that, left Noble Team, I think, feeling inspired and comforted during their last days, despite all the crap happening in the fall of Reach and the death of an entire civilization. And I suspect that through the dialogue. So what happened to Noble 6's armor, his helmet, and body and gear? Well, I would say it was likely found by either explorers or scavengers after the war, if not by the elites that finished him off way back during the fall of Reach and taken for research or to show off to their clan. Now, Halsey says his body was glassed and burned, which I don't doubt because there was a lot of crap happening during those last few days. So about a year after all that, about 9 months after the war ended officially, a pioneer group arrived on Reach to prepare to begin re-terraforming the planet, not only for symbolic meaning of restarting and building over, but it was also a pretty good strategic location as well. It was probably during this time that Noble 6's armor was recovered. Despite the planet being glass, there were still up to 120,000 people that had moved back, that started building settlements and started scavenging destroyed warships, be it Covenant or UNSC, and going through technology and so on. And when Oni arrived here and began helping with this secret plan of re-terraforming the planet, it was likely their top priority to begin securing and recovering valuable scraps or data, as they would want to avoid insurrectionists getting their hands on it or ex-Covenant terrorists reverse engineering Spartan armor, let's say. Most of Noble 6's life and career is a mystery. It's literally this huge open gap in Halo's lore. Most of it is coded in black ink, not only to us, but also those in Halo lore. And it's a damn shame because basically he's universally loved by fans, and I think it's a large opportunity wasted if 343 decides not to explore explore and pursue this area of Noble 6 in Halo lore. Although the reason why I think it may be so mysterious is basically to keep it realistic in lore, yet leave it to our imagination as people playing as the protagonist. Unlike Master Chief, whose core idea was already designed as a vehicle for player, Noble 6 was much more loose as far as details go, and he was customizable, with both gender and armor appearance, and also super bland and generic to keep it as neutral and open as possible for any type of personality or player. On the bright side, Halo Loot Crate, if they don't just straight up completely go out of business, I think will be sending the last Noble Team Loot Crate, which is the Noble 6 Loot Crate, and I suspect we're gonna get a new nug or nugs of details and lore about him, his life and his time during the Fall of Reach, maybe some kind of information about his life after his death. Although that may be unlikely considering we really didn't get anything substantial lore-wise with any of the other Halo Loot Crates revolving Noble Team, but regardless, I am hoping, considering that it's the last Halo Loot Crate ever, probably because Loot Crate I think is going out of business, there should be some really cool lore stuff included. Like this video up if you ended up enjoying and learning something new, and snag yourself a free Halo audiobook and 30-day free trial linked down in the description. I suggest listening to Fall of Reach, being the first Halo audiobook I can personally recommend. It is freaking fantastic. I've read it a couple times now, and it's easily the best book to start with, easiest to digest with Halo, and a lot of things will probably make sense with Reach too after you read it. Subscribe too to HaloFollower and join me on this epic Halo journey of covering Halo for 8+ years. Guys, also, I'm in the comment section for the first 10 minutes of each new upload, so join the notification squad, interact with me down in the comments, and hit that notification bell. Guys, thank you for your time. I'll see you in my next video soon. Peace.